everybody, Omar here, the Knife Shark Guy, and I am back with another discussion video for you. And today, I just wanted to go over my small Spyderco collection. I've actually attained this collection very, very quickly, in a very short amount of time. In fact, all the knives you see here, with the exception of the Spyderco Swish Bowie, I got all these knives in like a period of like 2 months. I just went insane buying Spyderco. They had all these really cool Spyderco knives that I never ever handled, and I figured, you know, I'm kind of taking a break from custom knives because those are incredibly expensive. Yeah, like this part of my collection is a cheap hobby, right? But, you know, when you're a collector, things like this happen. You know, you get into these moods. You don't always want to buy the most expensive. You just want to buy something that's cool or something that's, you know, different than what you're used to. And the reason this collection is so important is because this is my second go-around with Spyderco. With any of my knives that I do, I usually do that, you know, where you get into that habit where you originally have some knives from a particular company, and then you sell them all off, and then you find that your tastes have become more refined. You know what I mean? You no longer go for the Mauve 13 knives anymore. You're going for more high-end stuff. You're going for more you know, carbon fiber, and you're going for G10, and you're going for, you know, titanium, and gotta have that knife in S9DV. So that's pretty much what happened to me here. This is pretty much a culmination of someone growing as a knife collector, if you can call it that. Why? You know, you've learned some stuff since then. So I thought I'd just go over the knives that I own in my Spyderco collection and why I own them. So why don't we go ahead and start with the Spyderco Swish Bowie. The Spyderco Swish Bowie, obviously, this is one of those real sought-after Spydercos, right? Everybody's got to have this knife. It got to the point where this knife was so cool and so important to me that I wanted to go and get it and get it Cerakoted. So I did. I got it Cerakoted in the black and the gold. I chose the color myself. I had asked, and the guy that did the Cerakote process on this knife, his name is Josh at Razor Edge, although right now I understand he's not doing that anymore. Or I'm not sure whether he's not doing it anymore, or if he's not or if he's putting it off on hold because he's concentrating on the other parts of his business. I don't know, but he stopped Cerakoting, which is kind of a shame because he did really do a fantastic and awesome job on my Spyderco Swish Bowie. I'm still incredibly happy with it. I'm so sorry that he stopped doing that process, because he really is a champion at doing it. Like I said, I chose the colors myself. I wanted the backspacer to match the pocket clip. I wanted the black, the gold scale, gold front scale with black accented screws and gold accented screws on a black frame lock side. So he did it incredibly successfully, and it's absolutely gorgeous. However, like all of you guys, when I first got the knife looked like this, right, in the same gray color, which is nothing wrong with that. I like that as well. But I basically got the knife because of the hype with Nick Shabazz on Spyderco Swish Bowie when he did that knife back in 2015. He went so off on this knife that he made 3 videos on it. I'm sure he's still getting tons of hits on it. You know, do I think this is the greatest knife ever made? No, but does it live up to the hype that Nick Shabazz said? Yes, it does. However, almost dropped it there. The knife is not worth what it's selling for now. I have seen this knife go for up to $1,000, and it's not worth $1,000. If you were to ask me, Omar, what's the most you'd pay for this knife? Well, the fact that it's a collector's piece, I would probably go as high as $450. I cannot justify going any higher than $450 on this knife today. I just don't think the knife is worth that much, but Apparently, there are people out there that are buying it, and keep in mind when you are a collector, things are only worth whatever it is that you're willing to pay for it. So for me, it would be $4.50. That's my opinion on it. Other people think something else. So moving on to the sway back. I got the sway back because I had heard that this knife was very similar to this, and actually it is. As far as the smoothness, it just doesn't have the grandness of the Spyderco Swish Bowie, simply because of all the hype, but also this knife looks aesthetically more pleasing, doesn't it? As far as a knife, I mean, if you were to say someone, I have a knife, and you never saw a knife in your life, you'd probably say that this is really what a knife's supposed to look like as opposed to this. However, I have to tell you that the action on this knife is just as smooth as Spyderco Swish Bowie. The frame lock action is fantastic. It was a nice job that he put the little insert in there to prevent the lock stick from happening. So I thought that was a really nice touch there. But as far as smoothness goes, this knife is just as smooth as this one. What does that tell us? It tells us that it's really more about Marcin Swish than the knife itself. The man, as a knife maker, has a certain quality that he must have on all of his knives, and he's proven that twice with the Swish Bowie and the sway back. So for those of you guys that cannot any longer get a Spyderco Swish Bowie, and you want that Spyderco Swish Bowie feel, I really believe that Spyderco sway back is just as much of an alternative to this knife, the Spyderco Swish Bowie. So that's definitely something all of you knife fans are going to look forward to, because this really is one of Marcin Swish's fantastic knives. I do love this knife. I've used it on it quite often, and it winds up in my pocket more than a lot of the other Spyderco knives you see on this table on a daily basis. It's a knife where I go, what do I feel like I want to carry today? I'm going to carry I'm going to carry the sway back. It always winds up that way. Moving on to the Galil Bradley 2. I've got a surprise for all you guys out there, and I'm also kind of depressed about it. I ordered the Galil Bradley 1, so that knife is going to be coming someday. I say someday because I saw the knife on eBay, and I saw the knife on eBay, and I didn't realize the knife was coming from Russia. So now the knife, I ordered the knife 2.5 weeks ago. It still has not left Russia. The guy said it's going to take a long time for it to get to me. I'm almost thinking I have no choice, but I'm going to try and see how long I hold out before. If I don't see that knife here in the States within the next week, I'm probably going to wind up canceling my order and just waiting for another one. The guy's got no choice but to honor my wishes. I mean, to make somebody wait that long for a knife. But anyway, on to the Galil Bradley 2. I don't know what the 1 was like, but the 2 is absolutely fantastic. It's just as smooth. I would have to say this knife is probably as smooth as the Spyderco Swish Bowie also. So as far as smoothness goes, these are both exactly the same. You can get addicted to the Spyderco Galil Bradley 1 simply because the knife opens on inertia. I don't know very many knives that open that easily and that swiftly on inertia. But if you're an inertia type person, or you don't, maybe you like automatics, try this knife. I mean, it's fantastic the way it pops open. With just a little bit of a twist of your wrist, the thing will pop right out. I do love that. The scales on the knife I thought were pretty fantastic. I mean, it has everything that this knife has. But this is something you could probably wear more dressier, you know what I mean? More dressier clothing. I wouldn't go so far as maybe wear a suit, but if you were like having a tie and shirt day or something at work and you wanted to carry something, this knife is the best knife to carry as far as elegance. Overall, I think it's just a great knife. The knife cuts incredibly well with the M4 steel. That was another reason why I got the knife. I never had M4 steel before in my collection. I now have it twice. I'm going to get to this knife next. But I have it now in my collection twice. You know, the one negative about M4 steel, everybody knows by now, is that there's no corrosive properties to it, so you're going to have to wipe it down, clean it, you know, make sure you get that part of the knife taken care of, because otherwise M4 steel will rust up on you. Secondly, it's just a handsome looking folder. I mean, if you felt particularly dressy or something and you wanted to carry something that was dressy but yet was a hell of a pocket knife as far as, you know, cutting ability and all that, I would definitely choose this knife. It's just a really, really nice super steel alternative piece that looks really dressy, and that's probably the main reason why I got the knife, was for that reason. On to the Spyderco Bradley Air. I don't know if you could look at this knife as a necessity more than it is a collector's piece, but it's also probably one of the best office knives I know, and I work in an office. This is the only knife I can carry in my pocket, whip it out and show someone, and they're not going to go running thinking I'm some kind of, you know, psychotic person or something. The blade is really very small. Again, we got the M4 steel. I thought that was really cool. Again, it's a very, very smooth knife. It's also probably one of the smallest knives that you can operate like a big knife. I mean, I have no trouble. No one's ever going to have any trouble trying to pop this open like a regular knife. I love that Gail Bradley made the Spyderco hole large enough for even a medium-sized hand to get in there and pop it open. So that's really, really a great plus. The fact that it's another dressy knife that looks like this. These knives like this that are kind of dressy, they're kind of cool to have in your collection. You're always going to... People choose knives for different reasons. I try to find something that would look good or make me feel good, you know what I mean, when I'm carrying it. And of course, when I show it, people say, oh, that's pretty. You know what I mean? Things like that. It just makes your day. So this is one of those make your day knives. You know, it's just a nice little carry in your pocket. A great little conversation piece. I love the skeletonized liners in there. I mean, that just looks absolutely fantastic with the frame in there all skeletonized. It just gives it a really sharp, dressy look once again. So, which brings me to the Watu, because that's another knife, right? That's another one that's kind of dressy with the, you know, the laminated carbon fiber scale on top and then a G10 on the bottom. Very economical the way they did that, if you could see the line there. So that little line right there is where the carbon fiber stops, and the rest down there is G10 followed by the titanium underneath it. So it's just really economical. Again, really very, very dressy piece, I think. That, you know, the way that it, you know, it's got that basket type pattern, and the fact that it, you know, kind of almost gives kind of like a 3D effect when you move it. The holes in the knife are absolutely gorgeous. Really fantastic design. Plus the fact, another reason I wanted to own it was not just because it was my first impression lot, but the knife was incredibly light, and it was done stylishly. You know what I mean? With the holes in there, they cut the two holes in there, making it even more aesthetically pleasing. So, you know, these are things on knives that, let's say, 5 or 6 or even 8 years ago when I first started my knife collecting, did I not think about. You know what I mean? So this is how the hobby has changed me somewhat. I look for certain things. My eyes tend to shift to certain things on knives now. It's not just... For me, as a collector, it's no longer just about the basics. It's not about what's the steel made of, what are the ergonomics. I'm looking for aesthetics now, and I'm looking for all the other stuff. I'm looking for the complete package in my hand. And every time I look at a knife, I look at the knife and I kind of rate every part of the knife. You know, like on that scale of 1 to 10, is this something that I would possibly carry in my pocket? Is this something I can see myself carrying? Is it me? I mean, you know, that kind of thing. Moving on to the Chokeway. I got this knife first, and then all of a sudden I heard on YouTube that this was not the original knife, that this was the original knife. So I had to get the original knife. You do that a lot of times in knife collecting, right? Someone mentions a knife, and they say, hey, this knife is fantastic. It's even better than the two. Well, you know what? I'm a collector. I gotta have the two. I mean, and this is basically what all knife collectors go through. On this knife, it wasn't as aesthetically pleasing as the Watu. However, I will say this. I find myself carrying this knife in my pocket just as much as I do the sway back. This knife is incredibly light. I like lightness in knives. I thought that the lightness in the knife was enough for me to feel like I want to carry this every day. I love the fact that the knife was really, really large. And it's got that long, almost worn clip style blade until you get to the point where it becomes a clip point, which is right about here. You know, I just love that look. It just screamed out to me that I have to get this. Aesthetically, though, I'll have to say it wasn't as pleasing to me as the Watu, just because the pocket clip they chose was pretty crappy. Here you have a really gorgeous knife with these two holes in the front, really aesthetically pleasing, and what do? They cover it up with the pocket clip. But that didn't merit me from not buying it. You know, I thought it was still worth it. Plus the knife is incredibly smooth. I mean, this thing... really, really very smooth. I think you're going to find, whether you're a mediocre knife collector or you're heavily into customs, you're probably going to find that the washer knives impress you more as a collector, because that whole entire concept where the knife maker believes in the concept of less is more, like you don't really need ball bearings to get the smoothness that you want. Obviously, Spyderco is one of those companies that will give you a sample of everything that's out there. As far as, you know, things like smoothness, things like ergonomics. They try to give you a little bit of everything. It's probably why they're my favorite knife company of all. But yeah, basically I chose the Chokeway because it was the predecessor to this knife. And yeah, I don't know, I just had to have it. I had to have it. On to the knife I just did a full-on review for. You guys probably watching that video right now, because I just finished it a few seconds ago. Yeah, everybody, this knife kind of got to me in the same way that the Swish Bowie did like 6 years ago. You know, Michael Janisch was talking about it. A lot of knife makers were talking about this knife, how the ergonomics were incredible. And again, a lot of things you find on YouTube, they're not lying. It's just how do you interpret what they say, and to what degree. And so far, the knife has lived up to the hype. I really have no complaints whatsoever. Although I really do believe probably the knife would be more useful to anyone out there that really is into self-defense tactics, rather than someone that just want to use it as a utility blade. But that is nice that Michael Janisch accommodated those of us that are not into self-defense knife tactics, that we would want to get this knife. So that was also a plus. And obviously, he spent a good amount of time on that part of the knife as much as he did the self-defense part. So that alone gave me good reason to want to own this knife. Plus, of course, I wasn't going to get the regular version. I wanted to get the one in carbon fiber with the S90B, just to give it a little twist, a little upgrade twist to it right there. So that is my small Spyderco collection and why I own all of these knives, and my second go-around with Spyderco. Like I said, I had a collection before, but they were not high-end knives like these that you're looking at right now. Certainly not as interesting, because I was just starting my knife collecting back then. I knew absolutely nothing about knives in those days. I didn't even have a channel yet. So this is just sort of another opportunity for me to share my knowledge and what it is that I own. Keep in mind, everything that I know from all you guys. YouTube and all the knife makers out there that make the knives. That's how we educate ourselves, by buying and sharing, and that kind of makes the entire hobby more and more legitimate. It allows you to grow It allows other people to grow because we do learn off of each other. You know, and I don't think that all the information that's going around is the same information going around and around and around. Each time one of us as a knife collector is born, there's some new information out there for us to learn about the hobby. So that's all I wanted to do, is I just wanted to share my knives with you, talk about them a little bit, talk about why I own the knives and why I enjoy this hobby so much, and who knows why I can't flick this right. There you go. Who knows why I couldn't flick it right then and there. But so this is Omar the Knife Shark Guy, talking about my small Spyderco collection. Like I said, I got the Gail Bradley 1. I hope I get it soon because I really want to review it and show it off to you guys. I don't know when the hell I'll get it. Like I said, it's coming from Russia. Any of you guys out there that are smart and listening to this video, basically don't buy from Russia because the pandemic is killing their delivery. This is Omar the Knife Shark Guy signing off with another fun-filled video for you. Stay safe and vote. Wear a mask. Have a fantastic weekend. I'll talk to you guys later in my next video when I get the Gail Bradley 1 or my next knife adventure. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great evening.